Hi, my name is Noah Gift, and today I'm going to talk about the AWS Sagemaker Studio Labs. It's really a competitor to Google Colab. I think most people in the data science world know about Google Colab and how powerful it is, where you have a hosted environment that can run a GPU or it can run a CPU, and also that you can actually use it to train pretty intense GPU-based deep learning models. Now, what's really fascinating about the AWS SageMaker Labs is that it really is now a direct competition. There's even badges that you'll see that you can actually, save your notebook and put it into GitHub, and there's a link there. So a lot of exciting things that are happening with this SageMaker Studio Lab environment. I'm going to kick the tires and let you see what my first thoughts are. All right, so here I'm inside of SageMaker Studio Lab. Really excited to try this out for the first time. I have really no clue what SageMaker Studio Lab does, but I'm excited to learn. So the first thing I see here is my project, status idle, time remaining, select compute type, either CPU or GPU. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. What does this mean? It says CPU is best for general purpose, like if I want to try out a notebook, and then GPU would be for deep learning. Okay, great. That sounds interesting. Time remaining, what does this mean? Okay, so project runtimes will automatically stop after 12 hours if it's set to CPU and 4 if it's set to GPU. Okay, pretty cool. Well, just for fun, let's go ahead and click the GPU here, and I will go ahead and try this out, and then I'm going to select start runtime, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to try it out. Okay, so we're back here, and I see that the runtime is going on. I have the time remaining here, which is 3 hours and 56 minutes. You can see it's GPU type. I'm going to go ahead and select open project. Okay, so this opens up, it appears, a Jupyter notebook based environment. Pretty cool. So we can see here that there's a interface that's in a way I think very similar to Colab Notebook, where there's a set of instructions. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and follow this tutorial and kick the tires. So the first thing that we see is SageMaker has 25 gigabytes of persistent storage. And that's actually pretty incredible. And it also has the ability to run Conda environments, Jupyter Lab extensions. So far, really impressed. And then here you can see that I can run Python code. These are variables, A equals 10, B equals 20. We make an equation, and I go through and run this. Great. Okay, the next thing that you can do here is it lets you create notebooks, source code files, and terminal. Okay, let's go ahead and try those things out. So how do I do this? In the launcher, there are a set of cards that allow you to launch notebooks in different environments. Pretty interesting. So how would I do this? I would actually need to go over to these tabs here. We can see these are the open tabs. This is the Git repository browser. This is the structure of the notebook. And then this thing is for doing third-party extensions. So what we would want to do here first would be say file and say new. And I could, if I wanted to, open up a terminal. Let's go ahead and try that out. You can see what's going on here. If I run the top command, for example, I see what's happening on my system. I also could do other things as well. For example, I could cd into the root directory and kind of poke around and see what's happening there. So pretty interesting. And maybe one of the things that I would try is see if Python works. Okay, we have a very new version of Python, which is pretty cool. And what about IPython? Does IPython work? Pretty cool. So we have IPython, which is really handy. And let's try to import a library. Import pandas as PD. Okay, so it doesn't look like some of the libraries are installed by default. And so this is from the terminal environment. There may be a little bit of work to do. Now, the other thing, again, that we can do here is we can say new, and you could actually create your own notebook from scratch, which is probably what a lot of people will want to do. And if we go new here and we say what kind of kernel, we can use the general Python terminal. And again, I can go through here and I can say, I don't know, import OS, os.lister, just kind of kick the tires a little bit and see what's going on. Okay, pretty cool. that I can do this. Okay, so what else can we do? So we scroll down here, installing packages. Okay, so you can either do conda install or pip install. That's pretty handy. That's good to know. So here we go. I do a conda install NumPy. And then once that's installed, so it seems like they're pushing you towards doing installations yourself inside the notebook, which I think is a very common way to do things. And then if we go through here, we can try NumPy. There we go. We see NumPy works. The other thing with SageMaker Studio Lab is that it has the resources for NumPy, Pandas, Scikit-learn, PyTorch, TensorFlow. And in fact, we can go through and we can clone these notebooks here, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and try that out. Really like this idea that you can go in and just, clone those environments and then actually start to play around with this code. Very, very cool. Also, you can clone the AWS Machine Learning University notebooks. Again, we have 25 gigs of storage here, so why not? Here we go, cloning that in there. That looks pretty cool. And then in addition, there's also dive into deep learning. D2L is an open source interactive book with over 150 Jupyter notebooks. Wow, pretty impressive. Let's go ahead and do this. And then again, what's pretty amazing is that we can go through here and we can actually download the Hugging Face notebooks as well, which is really a pretty cool emerging company that does a lot of high level machine learning where you don't have to train anything. You just use their pre-trained models. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Perfect. So, wow, pretty cool so far. I'm really actually impressed at the thought process here. Again, and if we look through here, you can see the different ability to create conda environments, how to activate Jupyter extensions. So I could see from a student's perspective here, really, really cool. Now look at this. I love what they're doing here. This is the first time I've seen this, but I know where they're going with this, is that what's awesome is that they have the same thing that Google is doing with Colab. So I really love the competition here where basically you can create notebooks that will allow someone to open it up with SageMaker Studio Labs. So I think this is a brilliant idea. And I think this is going to lead the traction for people using a lot more adoption actually of AWS for data science. And this was really one of the pieces that they were missing. So really impressed so far with everything that they're doing inside of here. So let's take a look at some of these notebooks. We have a SageMaker. We have getting started with PyTorch, getting started with TensorFlow, spot instances. I mean, all kinds of amazing stuff here. Let's go ahead and do getting started with TensorFlow, and let's go ahead and take a look at this. So here we go. We have a Hugging Face SageMaker SDK getting started demo, and we can notice here that end-to-end binary text classification example. We use Hugging Face, and it'll be a pre-trained model. So again, I think this is one of the trends that we're going to see with machine learning AI is that I think pre-trained is fully baked now in 2022, and you'll see a lot more people using pre-trained models. Okay, let's start off here. I'm going to pip install SageMaker. So this would allow this notebook to interact with the SageMaker SDK. That's what Boto 3 does. And now we're going to import the interface between Hugging Face and SageMaker, which is pretty cool. And so because we're going to use SageMaker in a local environment, we need to access an IAM role with required permissions. And so let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and run this. So in this particular example, you have to set up a local configuration with a region supported by SageMaker. So this is probably the first thing we found that doesn't work. Let's go ahead and click this up. Okay. So probably what's happening here is that we need to set up a local execution role so that we can actually get access to this resource. So that's something that I won't get into now, but one potential gotcha with this is that you do need to have an IAM role with required permissions for SageMaker. Okay, what else can we try off here before I sign off? Well, I think the main thing to take a look at here is that this is a really rich environment, and I can see it's only going to get better, and that as we move into these hosted notebooks like this, these sandboxes, I think this is now the bar has been set. in that most cloud platforms must have a cloud-based development environment. And so far, really impressed with my first thoughts at SageMaker Studio. I'm definitely going to kick the tires on this and see what I can do.